Welcome back to another episode of the Sketchy Contract Starter Series or tutorial series. So we have an insane patch over here with 0.7 and 0.2. Already 2 hotfix done. Also, Halo, you did an amazing work there by putting out all these hotfixes so quickly. I'm really impressed that you are listening to the community so much and put so much work in it. However, we won't get over any feature which is completely new because, once again, I had to go over the early game with a completely new and reworked system, and we really will try in this video to push the game to its limits so you all can see that even on solo, on a fresh file, the early game is really not that difficult to be done. You can play it really much slower than I do in this video, and we will start a completely fresh file in our tutorial series. So first things first, I have to delete this one. I already tested out and it really isn't that impossible to do. So we start in here and see you then in a minute. So yeah, we will try to push for, I guess, 3 quotas in one quota. You will see it in game. So enjoy the ride and let's hop into the game. All right. So what is our goal over here? We will try to do a good run. I'm not sure if we will able to do it, but I just want to show the extreme limits of this game. And yeah, first things first, what is new, what we want to cover here. So there is a completely new system of this burger shop. However, don't bother with all this shit right now. So it is an amazing system. It is so much rewarding to do. However, you need different ingredients over here, and you can put them in a crate. You won't have any credits right now to even use one of these. And once you have them and you put an item in it, it will lose its value for selling on quota. So once you put them in these crates, they will only be good for filling up this. It is an additional system, so you don't have to fill it up, and you will get rewards for holding it up. I will cover it in detail in a different video. The only thing you need to know right now is on 20% you will unlock the cooking station. The cooking station, however, will need these ingredients. For example, Night Blossom and Derp Corpses. These 2 ingredients really make the deal here, because when we look for tier 2 quota, which we have to unlock by reaching 900 quota, even lower than in a different patch before, but we can reach it now by 900. So really only 3 contracts, 200, 550 and then already 900. So on tier 2 you will unlock derps as well as night gathererables, including the Night Blossom, which you need for this cooking station. So until you unlock tier 2, you won't have any value until you reach 35% and unlock the coffee machine. This you can already use technically by using grounded coffee and sugar. Again, however, you need many items. It isn't worth the hustle at all. right now until you get a decent setup with basic items and you already unlocked tier 2, so you get the most out of it. So, on tier 2 you already will be able to unlock Echo Lens, which earlier was on tier 1, now it is on tier 2. I think it is completely fair to be on tier 2. However, you really want one of these, you really want a Shrink Ray, and you really want at least a Pulse Rifle. Pulse Rifle is reduced to 50 credits right now. I think it was earlier on something like 75 credits or something. So you really want to have one Pulse Rifle early on, and our goal will be to collect coin pouches or credits so we can buy it mid-round. Everything else, Flamethrower will be nice to have, Pocket Rocket don't really does that much because it has ammo, so you have to refill it. These two are straight up better because they don't have ammunition. And yeah, this is nice to have, this is a must-have in my opinion. Oxygen Reservoir you won't be able to head on for tier 3, so don't bother with this shit. Medgen, you don't have to buy them in tier 1 because they are pre-installed, so don't bother with this shit. Boombox, earlier on I would highly recommend to get the boombox as soon as possible. Right now this changed a little bit, so a boombox is really nice to have, however not that necessary anymore due to the healing of Medbay we will highly utilize. So boombox really is a nice thing to have. However, the third one you want to have really. First one should be the Pulse Rifle, second one should be the Shrink Ray, because it's also $100 cheaper than the boombox, and this one essentially unlocks you a new source of credits for the quota. This one only gives you the ability to heal. So this one you really want to have. This one is a nice to have one, quality of life thing, so you don't have to go back to Medbay. Alright, so first thing, we want to get a Pulse Rifle. Second thing, we want to get a Shrink Ray. Shrink Ray, however, we won't get until the end of this contract for sure, because it's just too many credits. However, we really want to have it, so by the end of, I guess, the tier 1 limit of the 900 quotas, so in total 3 quotas send in, you will for sure have enough credits on you. Maybe earlier on by coin pouches, but we will see about this. So this overall is what you need to know before you go onto your ship. I personally will do it on the Port Coral one. Also, I removed this bed because you really want to have space later on in your ship. So I will do it on Port Coral. Port Lumen and Port Treasure Island is available. The other areas need at least tier 2. Also, the former event planets will now need at least tier 2. So they won't be able to access anymore in tier 1. This one, it doesn't give you the difficulty anymore. But this one is way more difficult than these two. I think Port Lumen is fine, but differently. I will always prefer to start on Port Coral because I'm just so used to it. But yeah, it's really up to you where you want to play. You can mix it up, you can play multiple quotas until you reach the threshold of 900. Flamingo is always your best friend, so take a lot of them, and we will do skilling in-game. However, already in Overlook, health should be the first thing you really want to max out. You also want to go between these 3 days on your ship, so you can once level your suit, and second, reset the early gatherables. So we won't play the knights until this first quota is done for sure. And once you have unlocked the pulse rifle, you can think about playing the knight. However, as there are no really knight substances there and no derps, you really only will have night walkers in the night, and you can't shrink them unless you get a shrink ray. So this would be necessary to get anything really out of the night until staying multiple days on a planet to reach further into tier 1, tier 2. So yeah, really max out health, reset the planet all over again every single day, and you should be able to at least get the 900 quota done, and from there we will see how it went. However, our goal will be to reach 200 plus 550 plus 900, so 1650 in total, at least, in one quota. Because when you swap back, before you could do it really to grind out tier 1. When you enable the tier 2, you could swap to tier 2, you could swap back to tier 1, and it was resetted to 200. So you start a fresh file basically, but keep all what you have. This won't happen anymore. It will, once you switch to tier 2, go to 1600. So you really first want to do the 200, 550, 900 quota, and stay then at least one more quota, the 1250 quota, on tier 1 to level your suit and to get spare items for higher quotas. Because you really will need to be able to get 1600 in a tier 1 contract anytime, so you will be able to maintenance your quota file overall. So this should be your goal to push, to get comfortable enough with the game to play even solo a 1600 quota. It is possible. We will go for this goal today, even on a fresh file, on a very fresh file. It is possible. I've done it before. I don't know if it exactly will be able to do it right now, but we will see how it goes. And yeah, I think then we start on Port Coral. So let's see about it. Also, you really want to have many flamingos on it, on you. Once you will die for sure in your first quota. It's normal. It's completely normal. I will also die. The very first day is really the hardest one. You always want to have at least one spare flamingo for decoying eventual greed you encounter. However, having many items on you will drain your stamina much quicker. So you really want to handle these, like putting them here so you have spare ones, and then you can see what you want to do. This one already is a nice enemy, because even by face tanking them, you will be able to kill it, and you will get a lot of quota out of it. What we want to do now is always go back once you've reached around a 50 health limit, which will be basically every single fight, and you really want to survive. Again, if you die, it doesn't matter that much. However, you really want to try to survive and take your time going back on your first day. So This is medbay healing. Also, again, a medgen is pre-installed, so don't worry about this one, even multiplayer. In solo, you really want to bother for medgen overall due to the fact that you will get auto-revived anyway. So, yeah. We really want to collect just everything and keep it nicely organized. This will be a mimic. So a mimic is a nice enemy here, because you really want these coin pouches. And enough to get at least 50 coins out of it. So you really want to fight mimics, and they also can have additional loot. And once we have 50 of a coin pouch, they can also get of normal crates, so we really want to stress out to get as many crates as soon as possible. I hear something over here. We can also face tank these. Definitely not a mimic, so we will come back once we healed. And again, leave your flamingo. So just take everything you got. This is the reason we have so many flamingos here, even once we will head over there. Just don't bother with them. You get them for free. And we really try to get as many loot as possible on your first day, because experience, I don't know if it is exactly like this right now, but from my testing experience work by the amount of quota you collected. So we already have here something like 169 quota, which is really nice. And we already reached nearly the limit of our quota we want to get. For 200. So this should be your goal minimum, and once you level then up, you can do just be completely fine by collecting everything else as a bonus from there on. So yeah, this is our second coin pouch. Again, these coin pouches are dropped guaranteed by mimics, so we really want to find mimics and also really want to fight them. What else do we have here? Here's nothing. And it doesn't really matter if so this one will only deal you half your life. So also don't be stressed. Stay calm, heal. And once you healed, you really want to go back to your route you already cleaned out. Unless you're not comfortable with the areas. So yeah, we already have nearly half the way to 50 and plenty of quota done. What I wanted to say earlier is it doesn't matter if you don't get 50 bucks on you for your very first day. It's completely fine to do it on the second day. However, on the second day you already should be able to get it, so you can really maximize your quota there, and you should already be able to level up your suit, maybe up to 4 levels or something like this. So yeah, this should be already done a comfortable amount of health to really deal with all enemies which we encounter during this first quota. So we will head now in a different direction, the other way around, to really maximize time. And maybe get then out and see how we can get the crates outside. For your very first day with only 100 health, the fish outside are really hard to deal with. So don't get stressed out when you deal with them. The small ones are fine, the big ones are straight up hell. So this one is a mimic, we really want to notice that. And don't bother by killing them, really, it's just a waste of time. You want to skip it until you have a pulse rifle. Bring out some flamingos again. So maybe if you die, you will be able to grab a flamingo quickly and then heal. And then we want to fight this mimic over there. Also learn dodging. Really learn dodging. It's so important right now in the game to really get a hang of it. And underwater it's way more difficult. You can use these for crota and mining, but they take insane amount of time for the value by this animation, so you really don't want to stress out this too much. I will see if I can find some more crates until the day reached late. But we will see about it. Also, I hope you didn't hear too much background noise, because there are some work going on. This is a mimic. Nice. So how much do we have? Maybe 1 to 2 mimics. And you really want to have these herbs for when you want to do something like I do here, because you really want to be able to get clean values to reorganize your quota, so you will be able to get multiple quotas done in one run without wasting any quota. So what do we have over here? There's a crate, maybe with a pouch or something. These ones are just different crawlers. That was a bit close. This is an S crate. We really want to fight. So what you should do, you should leave at this point. I will try to fight this S crate over there. By healing up, it will take 3 hits for me. And we really want to have this coin pouch, and then we will head on to the next day. So time should be enough. Also, you will see this bunny jumping. It used to save stamina, I don't know if it does, but or in this version of the game, but yeah. Nice. We have enough? We have enough. Alright. So our first goal is reached. We have 50 credits. And we can head on back to our ship. But Avery showed in a different version of the game that bunny hopping saves you really, I guess up to 150%. So you can reach 150% the time of running when you bunny hop between these. Yeah, you understand what I want to say, I guess. So when you just run in a straight line, your stamina's 100% and amount of time with your stamina, and even if you level your stamina, you can reach 150% of this original time. So increase it by half the original amount if you bunny hop. And it used to be like this. I don't know if it is anymore, but yeah. I will do it anyway, because it's just so in my muscle memory right now. So we really want to max health quickly, and in between you really have time to organize your shit. So what I want to do here is already get something like this one, which is a value of 65. So you really want to have different values, and you really want these nice clean values to be organized at least. The other ones don't really bother much, but just keep some sort of organizing your loot, so you really have an overview on if you will be able to reach higher amounts of quota if you want to do it in one round. So this should be fine. I'm really maxing out now, but we will head back to Sketchy to buy our pulse rifle, so we don't waste any second on buying it on the planet. You can do it in between. You can also use it to stack up your crates. So once you will be able to fill up the shop, you can really use this time in between to fill them up here. And yeah, so we want to get a pulsar rifle, and from here on the game should be very different. We won't be taking that much damage anymore if you kite enemies and learn the dodging, really. So we will be able to reset now this planet and yeah, generate new fresh loot in the early game. So what do we have here? Nearly 1/3 of what we want to reach. However, this one should be way more accessible now, or the loot should be way more accessible now, as we can quicker run around killing everything and collecting stuff without going back to heal. So yeah. I really hope we will be able to reach the amount we set for ourselves. So these fish I was talking earlier about, Without a ranged weapon, they're really dangerous. And even with one, if you don't keep track on your overheating, I guess. So, what do we have here? For example, like this, you want to, Thanks. You really want to have one of a ranged weapon in your inventory to clear out these landmines. So this is another reason for it. And you really want to learn the dodging for these crawlers, so you don't have to go back for healing so often or fighting these lower enemies. Similar for the S-Crate, you really will be able to kill them easily with a ranged weapon without taking any damage once you learn a little bit how to dodge. And even these, which give you very nice loot. So we will have loot back here. We will do a little bit of juggling. To clear out everything first. Yeah, also these doppelganger are not that difficult with a range weapon anymore, and once you learn the dodge pattern, what is in here? Alright. So, our goal would be to reach at least the second quota, but better the third. Yeah, and from here on it's just playing the game, I guess. And you really want to go back to your ship with a full inventory of loot and use the time then to also heal. So I place it over here, because your stamina will be decreased once you have a fuller inventory. Check around here again, but this should be fine. And then we have here these juggled items, which is a full inventory. Ideally you want to get a code, but even if you don't get a code, it should be fine. But you for sure want to reset, because you can't really do anything with the knight. The knight's completely useless for you if you don't have a ring tray, at least from my understanding, because the sketchy night substances don't spawn anymore at night. So yeah, at least for tier 1. Upgoing on tier 2, knights will be really nice, or even if you have the shrink ray unlocked, the knights will be really nice for Crota, because you can fight then night walkers, which are an immense boost for your quota. However, also there's a plushie. That was a bit sketchy. But that's also the reason because why these fish are so dangerous. They do so much damage. A coin pouch. Really want to get anything quickly. Because I have nearly a full inventory here and want to heal. Can also go back there, I guess. So. One thing to really get quota in these early contracts are either fighting. You really want to use your advantage by this ranged weapon to get easy high quota items, like for example the doppelganger or even a crawler. Because a crawler is worth 20 bucks, a doppelganger even 117 here. And the second one for high value items might be digging up. It can be a mimic though, and they tend to get bugged, I guess. But it can also be something like a treasure chest, for example. Which is really nice because it is a very high value item. So if you play in multiplayer, it really could be a nice thing if one player really enjoys the gatherer part to get a digger early on, because these pirate booties are worth 250 and the chance for them will be increased for the points of digging in your skill. So you can have really one with just a flamingo and not really that health, and can do also a good amount of loot by digging. Also don't bother with them if they get bugged out. Just come back later and you see they will most of the time get unstuck. And these also are very high value loot. So really the digging is the one to you want to do here. And maybe collecting something like these, because we really need them to do a nice quota. We can see if this one get unbugged. Nice. And yeah, this is basically everything. You really want to get as much quota out of the days as possible. You should also take every single day in the quotas from the build up to get a backstock of quota items. And again, don't bother with these burger shop items, just use them as quota items in your early game. It is so much more worth than using them as quota items than to having them as burger shop items. So what do we have over here? We will get one more full inventory with basically whatever we can get. And then go back. For example, this one. And then this one. Usually I tend to head back to ship around 10 PM. This should be fine when you already are around your ship area and collect the further loot in the level earlier, so you don't get stressed by having low amount of time left. And we already have 1,400 of quota done, so yeah. You see how this is going. We have 1 day left and we only need 200 of quota to really maintain our tier 1 quota for infinite amount of time by resetting it to 1,600, or even the tier 1 quota is at a maximum of 1,600. So yeah, you can't go over this and just keep piling up things if you want to, and also level your suit. And it will get only easier from here on. So we have already 7 points in it, we have 300 health, so 3 times the amount we start with. And yeah, we won't bother too much by organizing right now, because I just wanted to show you these 3 days. And we want to push for, again, at least 1,600 of a quota, ideally 1,650, and with this we will be able to get 3 quotas done in 1 round to already unlock you to get to tier 2, and you can play it way slower and way more comfortable. Even if you die, you will get a bunch amount of experience, so just take your time to learn the game. Even if you wipe once, it is completely fine. You wiped then, and you can do, I can show it here, you can do custom settings, but these are the default settings right now. So credit penalty is already 0%, suit penalty is already 0%. So these are the intended settings. You will wipe your quota, lose all your items, use all your quota items as well, but you will keep suit level and credits you backstocked. So this credit amount already is enough to start with a pulse rifle. And yeah, this is really, really nice, and it just get easier from here on, and you will be able to really get comfortable. And the more items you have, it only get easier to maintain your 1,600 quota and just get a bunch of additional quota things. So yeah. Also, these can be a little bit spooky because they come so quick to you, but even if you have something like this ongoing, it is completely fine once you get a habit of dodging and kiting everything back, as you saw there. Long corridors are really your friend, so this is another reason why I like Port Coral so much for beginning. And you have really spacious corridors in this outdoor island, so you can get easily done your credits. And yeah. And you really want to optimize your inventory. So I counted now, I have 1, 2, 3 items here. This is the 4th item, so I need at least one more item. Not something like this, not a big item, but I can take it as well. But more like a small one. For example, this guy. And then I go back, or something like this, and then I go backwards, so I really optimize my stamina as well. And these little tricks can save you so much time. And you see how much the stamina is affected and how quick it goes down compared to an empty inventory. So you really want to max out stamina after you already maxed out health. I tend to do first max out health, then every 2 points of stamina I get 1 point of range damage to keep up with higher enemy health on higher quota. But yeah. So again, one item over there. Second item over here. And this should be basically most we have left here in this area. So we will go back with this. Heal and med bay. And then we really want to get on these back islands there to push out just a little bit more of quota. Yeah. But again, I'm fairly experienced in the game, as you can tell. I have, I guess, over 300 hours or so in Sketchy overall by the different iterations of it. And when you start a game, you will die a bunch. You will struggle, but it is completely fine. We all been there, did that, and yeah. Just learn the way you want to play, and if you want to adopt some of these things, you can do it. But if you want to goof around with friends, there's nothing wrong about it. So, as a person who I really like to quote once said, you can't have fun in a wrong way. So yeah, just enjoy playing. And I want to show you some tricks and tips. You can also deal with these lurker routes by the pulse rifle. So you don't have to bother buying a flamethrower for these or something in your early quotas. You really want to have a flamethrower sooner or later due to fighting other enemies with them, but yeah. It is completely fine to just start and have only a pulse rifle on you. That will help you to get insane amounts of loot already in 1 quarter. And even by playing solo, when you play multiplayer, it's just get more, and we already have 1,800 quota here, so way more than we need what I want to do in this video. So yeah. Also, there's one of the items you might want to keep already. This is sugar. The other one is grounded coffee. And you really want to keep them for coffee in the burger shop. So once you have enough, you really want to consider selling only the things you have either very much of, like Qualler or Hatchling Corpse, but we will separate what to sell and what to keep in a minute here. And you really want to stack up only the things you can do something with. The other things you will pile up eventually because you don't use them by your own. So this, for example, I really want to keep. So I put it already there, and we can sort out what you want to keep and what you want to just sell first and later on keep in a crate. So, one more inventory, I guess, then we will head into the orbit. Also, this is the shark plushie I talked earlier about. These items in the ground really, buried loot really is nice to have. I take a cheese, preferable over a low value item. Also, we want to keep this cheese if possible. Really was looking if here is something we can collect, but I think it isn't worth the hustle. So we just take what we have here. Already sorted a little bit. And then we head into space and finish our first round with over 2,000 quota, so 10 times the amount we needed. So we will get back to Sketchy Bay and have already a suit level of 11 to max out health, which is our very first goal. Alright, so what do you want to sell, what do you want to keep, and how do you want to sell? First, we can sort a little bit. Let me see if here is anything in we want to keep. This bread, for example, we want to keep. And I can also explain why. There's a cheese we want to keep. And everything else I think we can first sell. Can see how much. Oh, there's another cheese. We can see how much we are coming without selling these items, I guess. So these are burger shop items, which are rolled by the game when open a crate, or they can be on the floor. And as you already saw, we will have a lower amount of these compared to, for example, hatchling and quarter corps. So they will be the first thing overflowing when you start stocking up the burger shop. So you really want to keep these items and quarters you really can sell first. And there is then a priority in items you really want to keep first stock grounded coffee and sugar, because these you can use for coffee. Also, when you reach the amount of 35% in a tier 1 contract, because you don't need tier 2 contract things for them to work. Coffee should be available also on tier 1. We have sugar already, coffee should be able to find. Cooking station is the second thing. You can't obtain corpses, derp corpses specifically, and night blossoms on tier 1 contracts. So cheese, jar of pickles and bread, you can obtain them in tier 1. You can already start to stock them. And then, which I did here, and then every other item beside the lurker roots, the hatchlings and the crawler, you can start to stock them. Everything else you really can use to sell first. So we want to sell exactly 200, so you get the most out of this. So don't oversell just with a pirate buoy or something. You really want to do more something like... Do I have... We can do, for example, something like this. We sell some uneven items to get it even out. And then we can do something like 2 of these ores to get a 22. So we have 80 left. 80 is 1, 2, 3, 4 crawler corpses. So get an exact amount of 200. We have already over 100 of quota by collecting these coin pouches. You will see how many payment you get. It's only 30 bucks. As said before, your next goal should be to be able to reach enough credits for 200 so you can buy a shrink ray, and also collecting the mimic corpses, for example. So our next goal will be to sell, for example, these both, and we really want to go for something like 300 exactly, for example. So you can sell our pirate bay here, pirate booty over here. So for example, what do we have over here? This could be difficult. We will see how it goes. So we need for 200 exactly one of this, and then a 20 corp again, and then We have exactly 550. And we will get an amount of 68. So with the 30 and the 68, or 34 and 68, you really get around 100 credits. So you need 100 credits to already get it on your second quota. So we can now buy a shrink ray, for example. And we have also 20 of cosmic coins. So we can head over here and buy, for example, one storage rack. And we can go over here and buy one ring ray. Everything else from now on is already a bonus, or even this second quota you don't have to get rid of right now. You could play another 3 days, get more items, and yeah, you will be able to reach high amounts of quota in no time. I like to tend having a storage rack over here. In ship. So I can show you 2 different ways you can do it. You can place these against the wall. Most players will do it like this. However, I don't really like that. You can also organize them in these shelves. And I personally like it very, very much more because we already have these shelves. It looks way more cleaner and way more intended than to have them, yeah, placed just against the wall. And it is just a thing of mine to do it preferable like this. So we already have enough to sell for the 900 quota. So we will do it in this video. So you really want to sell early on the more expensive things. This, for example, and these corpses, and maybe the heads. And all the loot, which is really only for selling. You can tell which is for selling and which is for the shop by just scanning, and one will have the shop item or the shop icon and one don't. So what do we have over here? I can sell just this bunch of stuff and maybe also this. So we have an even number right now and even more even number. We can do 2 of these donut and only 90 left. This is where you really want to do something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 2 of these and only 1 corpse. So we have exactly 90. And this is loot we can have left. These already have coffee, so perfectly. I don't recognize it early on. But corpse you really want to store in the fridge because they get shrinked. Or in a storage crate, which I can show earlier on. But we already have something. These don't get shrinked. So just store them somewhere else. Coffee, you can maybe have here. And yeah, like this you also will get the additional 100 credits. So even if you don't have credits collected, the 3 amounts of quota, the 200, 550 and 900 quota, will be enough to buy you a shrink ray. So yeah. We have also enough cosmic coins to get something like wall shelves, which I really like to put as well. So I usually tend to do wall shelves over here. To store also over here maybe to store things like this is my personal space down to this area, and this might be things I want to sell, for example, and then we can store items also over here. So yeah, you can really get creative. We usually have also one over here because it just perfectly fits for a second shelf then over here, and one of these, something like over here. Can also double them. There, for example, them organized even more. I usually tend to do the weapons down and the utility items up a little bit more, like an echo lens also, because they are just smaller. Something like this you can do. Here we usually tend to have storage devices. So we already completed enough to, for example, buy get up to the tier 2 quota. Again, you really don't want to do it because right now our quota we have to worry about is only 1250, so even one step more for the 1600. Once you head on to tier 2, you really can do it, but you don't want to as long as you don't have to need to do, because once we swap it back, it will be up to 1600. So if you swap back, it will be just 1600, and you have to go on from now on, keep collecting 1600, which, yeah, is just hard for unexperienced players, but as you see in this video, it can be done easily. Even on solo contract. With multiplayer it even makes more fun, and you can go for tier 2 now if you want to, or just level. We can, for example, get an echo lens once we have enough credits, all these gathering capsules to collect quota more easily, and we usually like to store them in our group back over here. So the shelf I placed here, you can have just stock them and then collect a free one and put the full one over here. This is the whole idea of the setup, or a similar setup. And you can also use now these crates, which we should be able to buy. I don't know why it don't let me. I don't know. I for sure have enough. Nice, there's another bug found. But yeah, usually you will be able to buy one of these crates also, and you can store them as well in your ship to keep these different batches of items even more organized. Alright, folks, I think it is done more than enough to show that the game is harder in some sort of way, but also not that punishing as you might think when you first start playing the game. You already have 400, and as you saw, you can do a tier 2 one to really get your first quota done and head on then to tier 2 already. You should, however, level your suit up to 30, and you can collect even 2000 quotas to then bump into tier 2 quota, just see how it goes, level your suit even more, and have a 2000 quota backstocked, maybe, to, yeah, just enjoy the ride. And yeah, I guess this is everything I want to show in this overlong video for the start of the game. From here on, you can really get into more mechanics, like tier 2 will have now planet conditions. So yeah, just explore also the other planets, and I hope this helps a little bit to, for also new players. After you have this one, you really want to think about getting a boombox for healing, also out of med bay. In a multiplayer setup, you really want to get, once you reach tier 2, a med gen, because then the auto revive feature with a pre-installed med gen is gone. In solo, you will still have the auto revive, so don't bother around a med gen in this case. Alright, so I think this is everything for today. I really enjoyed to make videos for you for the starter series, but I will take a break now and enjoying the update a little bit more. Also, I will be live today on Twitch, so stop by if you want to do a little bit more interaction over there. See you then maybe, and ciao, ciao. Good luck by pushing on to tier 2 and even higher.